Hi, I wanted to talk to you guys today about the second day of the 30-day hacker rank problem. Hi, it's day 2 for the 30-day hacker rank problem. Uh, Hi, it's day 2 for the hacker ranks 30 days of code. I'm going to walk through all 30 days and then I'm going to start expanding to different platforms and to more advanced problems. Here's a very simple question regarding different data types such as integers, decimals, and strings. First, we'll cover C++ and then we'll cover Python. So eventually this video series is in transition to help college students learn how to do competitive programming. There wasn't a lot of resources when I went to college, especially at my college, and I wanted to help others be able to compete in the ICPC, and I wanted to help others, pursue their dreams of being a software developer. So in this scenario, you're given an input of an integer, a decimal, and a string. And you're supposed to take um, the already defined input that is locked within the editor, and then take another integer, take another decimal or double in this case, and take another string and concat those or append those or add those to the previous locked editors variables to include making sure that there's a set precision associated with doubles or decimals. In this situation, it's going to be the second data type. So they provide you input and output streams associated with the pound include IOStream header file. And so in this situation, the IOStream file is able to do syn, it's able to do cout, things like that. And so what happens is you're using the standard namespace so that you don't have to do std colon colon for the namespace scope. In this situation, using namespace std already includes this information in this code within the namespace scope. So going further, we have our first integer, which is 4. Later on, as you'll see, it'll pass all the tests, but you can run the code. In this scenario, you want to take an input and output 16 for the integer. And so if it's 4, the input's going to be 12, the user defined, command line defined input. And so in this scenario, I2 is going to be 12. You add those two together and you're going to get 16. And so how this works for syn is syn points to the variables that it's essentially going to fill, and cout takes the variable information or the information stored at that memory address and points to the cout. So essentially consider it this: when you're ingesting data, it's going to point to the thing that you're ingesting, and when you're talking about delivering information to someone, then you're going to be pointing that information to somebody else. You can always use another example, but it's kind of gross. So in this situation, we're going to move to the next data type, which is the double. And so this is going to include fractional values, or I guess numbers past the decimal point. So they give you a 4, and essentially your code's going to output 8 for this particular test case. And so the user-defined information is going to be 4.0. So both of them equal 4.0. In this situation, you're going to have to fix your cout to only set the precision to 1, and that's based on the problem set. It was defined within the problem set. So in this scenario, you add those two values together, 4.0 and 4.0, and it's going to give you 8.0 with only one defined decimal point or decimal place. The next one's going to be concatenation or appending. Depending on how you look at it, it's really the same thing when you're talking about strings. But essentially, you're given is the best place to learn and practice coding, and you're supposed to append it to what's already predefined, which is HackerRank. And I would agree. Actually, I started on HackerRank, and I would say it's the best place to learn code when you're first starting out. And I'd recommend going to the site. It's great. The tools are wonderful, and you know you can touch so many different languages within integrated development editor. Um, Now, it doesn't have Kotlin in there, in case you're familiar with what's going on with Android programming. It's something they could work on. Hacker Earth has Kotlin in there, but it's still probably the best place to start when you're first learning code. And so you can cat or append those two values, and you're able to get your final answer. So that's C++. I'm a Python guy. I like Python a lot. I think it's the best language out there. Now, for different projects, you have to use C++ for heavy memory operations to make it run more efficiently. Or if you're looking at specific technologies, or you're working with specific implementations for Android, then you're looking at Java or Kotlin. But really, Python is the go-to for most things nowadays because it's so easy to learn and the syntax is amazing. So in this situation, it's going to be the same problem, same test case, and I'm just going to show you the syntax. Here you don't have to define the different variables. Correct me if I'm wrong in the video, but I believe it does duck typing. So the variables automatically determine which data type it's referring to or pointing to, and does that behind the scenes. So in this case, you have an integer. You take the raw input through the input function, and what happens is you have to statically convert that to an integer by just wrapping it within an int function. Same thing with a float or double. I guess you can use either one. And same thing with strings. However, strings are a little different because the raw input function converts it to a string. So all the inputs are actually strings, and that's why we need to wrap it in int or wrap it in float or double. And so in this scenario, it's simply just print I plus I2, which is going to be 4 plus 12, 16. And then for this scenario, you have 4.0 plus 4.0, and use the round function to essentially make sure it only has one fractional value or one place past the decimal. And then finally, you concatenate or append the two different strings together. Each print function includes an inherent /n, which just means that it does a new line every time you do a print function. And that's pretty interesting. So in Kotlin, you have print line, or you have print. The print function within Kotlin doesn't actually append the /n, so you'd have to use print line to essentially get new lines. But once again, those are features associated with each programming language. I'm excited to talk to you guys more about all this stuff in the summer. So it's summer right now, but in July, I'll be looking at Bash and Ruby and different programming languages associated with Metasploit and associated with essentially cyber hacking. So love Python, love C++, a little familiar with C. I started with BASIC, and I've touched Java and Kotlin a little bit, and now I'm starting to get into some Bash and Ruby. So I'm excited to share with you guys everything that's going on, and look forward to seeing you on my channel. Have a great day. Bye.